Hey party people, Techno here, and what I have for you today is a MasterLock 911 padlock. Now this lock is extremely similar to the 100-year commemorative lock that we looked at in a previous video. In fact, they pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, have the exact same body. The only difference is the core. And what that difference is that the 100-year commemorative lock is cheaper. Well, technically it's more expensive, but the construction is cheaper. It uses a crimped core that's populated with only 4 pins in its 6 chambers, versus the 911, which uses a proper core and has a 5-pin core, rather a 6-pin core, 5 pins populated. Another thing to note about these particular locks of this style is that there is a lot of spring tension on the core. So you can see that there's a significant amount of spring tension on these cores. That factors into picking it because your tensioner, not only do you have to apply more tension to the core to pick it and bind those pins, but there's a pretty high risk that the tensioner can slip out of the core and the whole thing's just going to relock itself. Also notice that the shackle is not spring loaded, so you do have to pull the shackle out with the key turned. And with the shackle out, we can see that this has a dual ball bearing locking mechanism, so you're not going to be shimming this at all. And it also has what we'll be able to see better whenever we remove the core is a layered steel construction body, like the vast majority of MasterLock's locks. Alright, let's get this locked back up. Let's see what it takes to get it picked open. So there we are, we're locked back up. I'm going to use a 32 1/1000 tensioner as well as my Tron pick, both by Sparrows. And let's just start with pin 1, nothing on pin 1, pin 2. Just tap pin 2 there, and the core went into a pretty deep false set right out of the gate. Touching on pin 2 again, there's some counter rotation, so I think that is fully set now. Pin 3, counter rotation on pin 3. And I believe that is set, but we lost, there we go. I was going to say we lost that false set, but we got back into it there. So pin 4, counter rotation on pin 4, that feels set. And pin 5, counter rotation on pin 5. And it looks like we have an open. So remembering that heavy spring tension here, I'm going to pin this tension wrench into the core while I remove the shackle. And there you go, we see we have an open. Alright, cool. Let's get this thing gutted and see what's inside. So, down the shackle hole, the core, or the retaining plate here, is kept in place with an Allen head screw. This is a 7/64 Allen key, because I know you were wondering that. Getting that screw out of here. Alright, and the retaining plate will come right off now. Set all that stuff aside, and there's our core. So again, you can see that layered steel construction, like most MasterLocks in there. Ball bearings and everything are retained within the body of the padlock. Nothing else just kind of falls out. And here you can see we have the core that is held shut with a C-clip, not that cheap crimping that we saw in the commemorative. So let's get that C-clip off of here and pop this core out. Try to do this without dumping all of the pins out of the bottom of the lock. Alright. So yeah, again, you can see that we have a core that will hold up to 6 pins, but why add more pins? That just adds more security. So we have 5 pin chambers populated here. And we'll slide this core out. Well, we probably should have used a shim, so we're about to have a bit of a disaster. No biggie. So I'll just dump what didn't get trapped, which was pretty much everything. But the reason that I say that this isn't really a big deal is because actually all of the driver pins in this lock are the same. They're all spools. And there you can see we have 5 identical spools, and if we go look at the key pins, we have a standard, 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 and a standard. So yeah, 5 pins, all security pins, not bad, although in this case there is a negative side effect to these all being spool pins, and that is that once you know you're working with spool pins, and if you are a somewhat experienced picker who is used to working with spool pins, then getting into that false set, it's really quite easy to use that counter rotation to your benefit and know when you've set all of the other pins. So with all of those being spools, as we saw picking this lock, you're going to get counter rotation on pretty much every pin. And that makes it easier than it otherwise would be if we even had one standard or a serrated pin up here to get that core open. But otherwise, as far as MasterLock goes, pretty good lock. Possibly the best lock that they produce. Security pins, good construction, good locking mechanism. Physical construction's never really been the major downfall of any MasterLocks. It usually comes to the core, and with respect to that, within their product lineup, this is about as good as you're going to get. So, generally speaking, it's not a bad lock. All right, well, really appreciate everybody watching. Thank you guys. Until the next time, take care. I will talk to you later.